everyone, and welcome to the Sports Report. I'm Jefferson College Athletic Director Doug Stotler. Before we start the show today, I want to thank all of the community members that have welcomed me back to Jefferson College after a lengthy career as a basketball coach in the junior college ranks. I'm coming back to Jefferson again as the athletic director. Had been at Jefferson in 1985 and 86 as the assistant basketball coach. And many of my friends have welcomed me back to the college, and I want to say thank you for the warm welcome that you've given me. On to the show. We're going to talk things over with women's basketball coach Kevin Emerick. Coach Emerick, you've come off of a fabulous #2 in the nation finish in 08-09, and I can't help but wonder what your thoughts are in regard to how you're going to make the new athletic director happy with the #2 in the nation finish again. What are your thoughts there?
Well, we've certainly got the talent to have a chance to be good again. I'm not sure we're going to be #2 or #1. You know, that's something that takes a lot of good fortune. You have to stay healthy, and a lot of things have to go right. And we had a good run. The 3 years that led up to that, we had good recruiting from Juanika Owsley and great help from admissions and financial aid and all the people, our professors, everybody on campus to really make it work. You know, from our board on down, we've got a good school here, and it's a great place to go to school, whether you're an athlete or whether you're a student in general, to come out here, non-traditional or traditional. And so we anticipate trying to get back to nationals, but you get into that top 10, anybody can win it from there.
Well, and I think everybody in junior college recognizes that your team changes from one year to year. So finishing #2 in the nation last year doesn't automatically equate to having the same people back. And you mentioned one name. Juanika Owsley was a tremendous recruiter for you, but she's moved on. Tell the fans where she's moved on to and who you've replaced her with.
Yeah, she moved on to Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland, and Division I school, and she had her choice of a couple, 3 schools to go to, and she chose Morgan State because she knew some people there, had some St. Louis connections there on the staff. Chris Harris is there that used to be in St. Louis as a coach, and so she's doing real well out there. It's her first year, and we had an opportunity to get to know Kristen Moore, who was Ashley Brown's high school coach in Chicago at John Hope High School. Over the past couple of years, we knew Kristen wanted to move up and move into the college ranks, and so we brought Kristen in from John Hope High School, and she's been here about 5 months now and just doing a great job. Different personality than Juanika, a little bit different skill set, so it's a change that way for me. And it's funny, you know, the assistant coach doesn't have to adjust as much as the head coach has to adjust to the new assistant coach and their strengths and weaknesses. So it's been a good fit so far.
Well, I got to be honest. You know, when I walked in the gym and I saw Kristen, I thought, wow, there's a terrific player. And I think I could make the argument that maybe Kristen is your best player on the floor, but she happens to be your assistant coach.
She is. She was played at Arkansas, you know, Division I SEC conference, and people that saw her play back then say she was really great. She was an undersized post, a 3-4 player really, and very, very skilled at what she did. And so she's got a good grasp of the game. She's played at a high level. She's been a head coach at high school, which I like, so she understands the recruiting process that goes on. And she's helped us a great deal, and you know, I think you would say, and the other people on staff would say, that she's been a good fit so far for our college.
And Coach, the #2 in the nation finish certainly required a lot of talent, a lot of skill. Remembering back to one particular Post-Dispatch article where they spoke of Danielle Adams having a great game most recently. Talk about some of the players from last year's team and where they went and what your perception is of their new ventures in Division I basketball.
Well, it's a great point. I mean, the joke has been, and I guess will be for a while, that we placed a player at top 8 team in Texas A&M, Danielle, who you mentioned, placed another player at the national runner-up, Louisville, University of Louisville, placed another player in one of the best schools in the A10, Duquesne University. And so the joke, of course, is why in the world didn't we win a national championship with that kind of talent? Obviously, we had bad coaching. So we placed 2 or 3 other kids in Division II schools from last year's team, and Danielle is doing real well at Texas A&M. She was the preseason newcomer of the year in the Big 12 Conference, which is outstanding. What an honor for us as a school and for her as an individual. And LaToya is starting for the University of Louisville in the Big East Conference. Again, like I said, national runner-up last year. And Deanna's starting for Duquesne University, and Duquesne looks to be a contender for the A10 title this year. So those 3 kids were our big 3, along with the Williams twins and Cherokee Barrett and Danae Beavers. And Cherokee's she's at Lincoln University in Jeff City and starting for them, and today is at Ohio Valley University at D2.
Wow.
Out in Ohio and starting for them. So we had a wealth of talent, and I think maybe this year a little bit deeper, but maybe not quite the top end talent that we had last year on the top 2 or 3 players that we had. So we're adjusting, but great kids, and they did a lot for Jefferson College PR wise, and they were good kids. I mean, they represented us well.
You also look at the fact that you had some really talented freshmen on that team that finished second in the nation, and moving into this current season at 9-1, obviously you've got some returners that are doing things right. Talk about a few of those kids.
Well, players that had minutes last year, Ashley Brown and Shaquanda Wiggins and Portia Porter. Shaquanda was all-tournament national tournament team last year at Salina. Portia was a second-team WBCA All-American, so she really had some honors last year. And Portia would have been a first-team All-American or second-team NJCAA, but to be that, you've got to be one of the top 5 players in your region. So we had the Region Player of the Year in Danielle Adams and another first-team All-Region in Latoya Johnson. And, politically, it's just impossible to have 3 kids in that top 5 in a region that's as deep as ours, in Region 16. So Portia deserved All-American NJCAA, but as a freshman, it's tough to get it. And so WBCA recognized her, which was nice. All 3 of those returners are top players for us this year. And they've done a great job so far, and that's one of the reasons we're 9-1.
Can you make the argument that Region 16 is one of the better regions in the nation? And I guess I look at that and maybe can answer my own question and say yes because of the national rankings that you've received this year, but what are your thoughts? You've been in this region 3 years now.
Yeah, it's a great question. We had last year Moberly was ranked top 10 at one time. This year State Fair's 15 or 16, and we're number 3 currently, and started out number 2 in the nation preseason. Three Rivers has been nationally ranked, and Moberly, of course, in the past has been ranked almost every year, prior to my tenure here at Jeffco. So all those schools are good. Iowa Western was ranked this year, receiving votes. And so we've had already 3 or 4 teams receive votes or being ranked in Region 16 this year. And that challenges Florida and Texas for being one of the top regions in the country.
Coach, looking at what you've accomplished here in a short amount of time is absolutely incredible. And if I've got these numbers right, in your first year you won 31 games. In your second year you won 32. And in the third year you won 34, which had you set up at 97 total wins before the season began. It didn't take you very long to win number 100 in your Jefferson career. How did that affect you as a coach? Has it adjusted the preparation that you've gone into in those first 3 games, or was it just business as usual?
That's a great question. I mean, to win 30, I always tell people it's tough to win 30 because you only play 30. You only get regular season 30 games. So boy, it's tough, and it speaks about the type of kids we've had and the type of job that our assistant coaches and people on campus have done recruiting. And this is no, I'm not begging off here on anything, but we just, I just feel fortunate to be running the ship. I mean, to just be steering the ship, so to speak. All the help we get at Jefferson College from everybody on campus, and we've had great players. And you don't win 97 in 3 years and get to 100 in just 3 games into your 4th year without just great players, because it's helped a lot.
Absolutely. You do have great players, but you've been able to guide and direct them in the right manner. And again, I just want to make the viewers aware that Coach Emerick is the winningest NJCAA basketball coach in the last 3 seasons in the entire nation. And it's a remarkable feat. Congratulations.
Thanks.
We were able to recognize that, I think, at one of our home games. But now, I do want to put it in perspective. I happen to work for a guy that has 10 of those type recognitions in Harry Statham. So you got a little ways to go.
Absolutely.
And I would love for you to get to 1,000 at Jefferson. So.
Well, we recognized Joellen a couple of years ago when we dedicated the floor to her here on campus. And I think at that time she had maybe 1,220 or 1,230 wins. And so I think I got to number 50. And I said, well, just 1,190 more to go, and I'm going to catch Joellen. So we've got a ways to go, and we're just getting started here, really. And it's been a great 3.5 years now, and it takes a lot of people to make it work. And I can't say that enough. We just got a great campus.
Well, and you're right. It caught me off guard. We're almost halfway through the season already, and here we are with the first interview with you. And through that first half, through the first third, we should say, your team is 9-1. So you're on target, technically, for another 30-win season. And again, let's make the athletic director happy and get to that. But is that realistic? Is that a possibility with this team?
Well, I think it's a possibility. I mean, I think that we've got a few games left here to get done with break, and then we get into the second half pretty quickly. And Christmas break is upon us now, and if we stay healthy and everybody does well academically, and we think they will, I think we've got a good chance to at least. I said this at the beginning of the year, and I really believe it. We may not win every game, or we may not win the rest of the games, but I don't think we're going to get blown out by anybody. I mean, I think we're going to be in there pitching in every basketball game. And if you can say that you're going to be within 5 to 7 or 10 points in every game you play, then certainly you've got a chance to win all those basketball games. Right. It comes down to free throws and defense and being able to close off the driving lanes and things, transition defense, which things we've got to work on this second half. And we'll try to get better at those things. And I think we've got a chance to be successful.
At 9-1, you've obviously been able to recognize what your team does extremely well and probably what your team really needs to focus on.
Yep.
If there's one strength of this year's Vikings, what would that be?
Well, I think in the half court, especially, our guard play is really, really strong, and I think that complements our post players inside. Mm-hmm. We're pretty hard to defend, and I mentioned to you that a couple of games we've ran some high ball screens for our guards to shake them loose and get into the offense. And from that point on, it becomes decision-making and skill. I mean, our post players are trying to seal on the inside. We're trying to get some good passing angles into those post kids and score inside. But if all else fails, we got a chance to score with our guards on a regular basis. And with Portia and Alicia Goodwin, along with Joyce Holloway and Annette Clinsani, I think we've got maybe 4 of the top guards in the country as a group. There's a lot of good guards, but certainly we're in the top 5 with our guards, and that really helps us every day.
Throughout my 19 years as a head coach, my strength also seemed to be the weakness. I always wanted my best aspects to get better. Is that the case with your team? Are there weaknesses within the guard play that you think are really going to help you get to that 30-win season?
I think so. I think it's decision-making. I think really both of our guards are excellent combo guards and really would play the 2 at most schools, but they're being forced to share the 1 spot for us. And so I think decision-making certainly is a big part of that. But I think as coaches, our job is to fix problems, fix weaknesses, make those weaknesses less apparent in a basketball game or less noticeable. And I think the way I coach, and I think our kids would tell you this, we focus every day on letting our kids play and then stop and play and correcting those things that we think they need to get better at. A lot of coaches spend a lot of time at building positive repetition. We spend a lot of time playing and trying to correct those things as they occur on the court. And I think it's a little bit faster way to get kids better. There's some risk in it because there's not a lot of positive reinforcement for the players on the team, so you've got to be careful with the criticism and make sure there's some positive thrown in there. But our kids respond to it well, they get better faster, and it's worked for us.
Well, that was probably one of my downfalls. I was perhaps a little too critical, and I admire the way you were able to get this team to perform. Coach, we had a great tip-off classic in the early portion of November, and you got to see a team or 2 that you were going to play later, and you just had a great season opener where you won by 40 points, and then that just seemed to be the pattern. You won several games by such wide margins. Did that help your team develop, or was there much to be concerned about at that point?
I think it did help, and I think how it helps is that Warren Hayes is our local sports writer, and he always talks about it's nice to be able to get better and correct and improve while you're still winning. And I think sometimes it's hard when you're winning by 40 to get the attention of your players that, hey, we really do need to get better at these things. Right. But this group is very coachable. And I love the last group we had the last 2 years, and very talented, great kids. But this group has to be more coachable. They're not quite as talented, and they are more coachable than the last 2 years that we had. So and you see that early on with the personality of the basketball team, whether they're going to buy in, whether they're coachable. I think you see a toughness and a strength in this group that they know they're being compared to last year's squad. You're not going to get back there. You're not going to make it to the national championship game. And so there's always that hanging over their head. And so they take that challenge seriously. On a daily basis, they want to come in and get better.
As I look at the 9-1 record up to this point, obviously the one stands out a little bit. And then the most recent victory you had at Vincennes was probably the only time you've really been challenged. So you've been challenged twice. What did your team and what did you as a coach learn from the loss? And then what did you learn from that very challenged win in the Vincennes Sodexo Classic?
Yeah, they were definitely different games. The Vincennes game we were pointing to for a long time as being a tough physical game at their home floor with their home officials. And we knew that was coming, and Harry's kids always play tough. They're always physical, they're aggressive, and they were physical and aggressive, that night as well. But the Tallahassee game, I think the thing we learned from Tallahassee when we got beat by 20 on the road down in Florida was that you can't take a night off, especially against a good team. And we had traveled down there by bus, and the kids might have been a little tired. There might have been a lot of things going on at that time, but those are, they're not excuses. Those are just reasons why maybe we lost that basketball game. But we got dominated in that game. We over-penetrated. We didn't take care of the ball. We didn't box out very well. We gave up a lot of offensive rebounds. I think we learned from that game that you've got to play every night. And I'm sure that game and that loss early led to a win at Vincennes, because we learned that if a team's going to challenge you like Tallahassee did challenge us, that you've got to respond to it. And in the second half against Vincennes, our kids responded. So I think learning from that loss, plus we're not undefeated anymore. The pressure's off.
Sure.
And I think that made a difference to these kids. They're just going out every day focusing on getting better for March. And, end of the semester, like I said, coming into break, over Christmas break here, the academics are important, finals are important. Get those things taken care of, and then start thinking about next season, next semester.
Well, and at this point in the season at 9-1, you've still got 3 games left before the semester ends, and they all happen to be MCCAC conference games. What do you focus on with your team? I always found with my team it was difficult to keep them charging forward during that finals week period. How do you deal with that and keep these kids sharp?
Yeah, I think it's a challenge for every coach this time of year, going into break and over Christmas break. And I think, we try to let them really focus on what they're doing academically. And we're fortunate that we've got Logan Chiropractic, Logan University coming in and training our kids. That gives them a chance to get a break from studies and just get in the gym with Logan, work out. It's not basketball related, it's just conditioning and fitness related. It's almost a break for them, really. So we're very fortunate that 2 times during finals week, our kids will get a chance to come in and just work with Logan and just get a chance to get away from the books for an hour and 15 minutes, not focus on basketball, not have to mentally be drained at all. Just be in there and just get some physical exercise, take a break.
Right. And those 3 games that we're talking about, first one will be at Lewis and Clark on the 12th, at Forest Park on the 16th, at Flow Valley on the 16th, and then we finish out the semester at home on the 18th with the final MCCAC game of the semester. Coach, talk a little bit about your players. I look up and down the lineup here, and you discuss how valuable your guards are to your team. But I just love the post play that I see. Talk about them individually. Let's start with Alicia Goodwin.
Alicia, played at SLU last year, and just I think helping bring in 2 sophomore transfers really added depth to this team. So Alicia and Alicia are both of our sophomore transfers, one from Arkansas State and Alicia from SLU, have really been a plus, just bringing in some additional experience. When you only had 3 kids back that played a lot last year, they've really helped our freshmen come along. So both those kids are real important. And the post player that transferred in, Alicia Dunn, has just got great hands and great skills, back to the basket skills, very strong player. Hit a big shot for us against Vincennes that stopped a run that they were making late when they had it down to 4 and they could have cut it to 2. We went down and Alicia got the ball in the middle of the paint, turned around and put up a little bunny, and got fouled on it, didn't get the call, and made the shot. I mean, it's a big play in a physical game like that. So those 2 sophomore transfers have added a lot. a lot to our team this year.
And you've got a young lady from Michigan, Alexis Gorey, who's coming off the bench for you.
Yeah, she's from Detroit area. Alexis, we call her Lex, is probably our quickest defender, our best player as far as defensively, on the ball defense, learning how to play off the ball, learning how to position herself like every freshman is for the college game and the speed of the college game. And a really good kid, a natural leadership ability from Lex. And as soon as Lex grows up a little bit, becomes a sophomore next year, she's going to be a great leader for us.
I've tried to figure out a way not to like this next young lady, but I can't find it. That's Portia Porter.
Yeah.
She's a lot of fun to be around.
Yeah, Portia just, I talked to a coach from Toledo the other night at Vincennes, and she said she just bounces around out there, just literally bounds around on the court and loves to play. And the growth in Portia, and I'm not just me saying this, but Division I coaches that saw her play last year and are seeing her play now, this year, just the maturity in her as a person and as a player on the floor. Everybody can see it that sees her, and what a difference being a freshman and being a sophomore. Just turning the page and getting older and being more experienced. And Portia's, she's our heart and soul, and she's doing a great job for us.
I need to go on record and make sure everybody knows that I did not approve of a trip to Latvia, but you've gotten 3 terrific players from Latvia, and at times their style of play makes them really difficult to tell who is who, but boy, they really do a nice job for you. Talk about those 3.
Yeah, the Annette and Dace and Elena have added a lot of depth to our bench and a lot of minutes for them coming off the bench and contributing. Elena's been hurt most of the first semester with plantar fasciitis in her foot, so that has limited her a little bit. But Dace and Annette, or Nene, have really done a great job. Great personality, great students, and I'm always amazed. You know, we bring in these young ladies from overseas, wherever they're from, and they dig into the academics and appreciate the opportunity, and then they become examples for our U.S. kids. And to say, hey, look, this girl has trouble with English, has trouble reading, she's from Latvia, and she's getting an A in this class.
Right.
Why are you getting a C? And I mean, it really does show you that the opportunity in our country and the opportunity Jefferson College provides for all of our students. And I think that's exemplified in the diversity that we bring in sometimes. And I'm only bringing in 3 players over a 2-year period.
Right.
So it's not a lot, but it's enough diversity and it's enough cultural diversity that it really helps our U.S. kids be better kids.
And again, I think it's important for the fans to know that NJCA does put a limit on the number of international students we can recruit. It also, when I began looking at the roster when I got hired, was very interesting to really realize how small the world is. There's a young lady, Alexis Skurlock, on your roster, and it was almost unbelievable to me to realize who her father was. Her father was Terrell Skurlock, who I coached at Jefferson back in the 85-86 season and actually got a chance to see him. Tell us a little bit about Alexis.
Well, you know, her family is great people. I mean, Terrell and her mom are just great people, and they've been around our program now for about 1.5 years. And Alexis she won our Hustle Award last year, and I think anybody that sees a practice or sees a game really understands what Alexis does for our program. And you know, she's really an athlete. I think that's the best way to describe her. She's a student athlete, probably our best athlete, probably our strongest kid, our best runner, and her basketball skills have developed tremendously over the past year. She always contributes. She always hustles. She gets in almost every game and never complains. She's truly here for an education. Basketball is just her vehicle to get the education, and she's really helped us a lot over the past 1.5 years, and she'll continue to do that. Wants to go into physical therapy or athletic training and looking at 3 different schools when she's done at Jeffco. But what a pleasure to watch run up and down the floor, and she's just a quick, athletic, gifted kid.
Coach, I really enjoy watching Ashley Brown play, and she's going to get mad at me when I say this, but if we put a few tattoos on her, is she the Dennis Rodman of Jefferson basketball?
Yeah, she would be. You know, what a great rebounder, and just working on developing her offensive skills. And you know, she's so long and so athletic, 6 foot, long arms and hands
right.
and feet, and she just is just kind of growing into her basketball ability right now. You know, some of the drills you gave us actually helped with the post drills early in the season have really helped her, and she's working on those every day. And Ashley's becoming a finisher around the basket. And if she can become a finisher around the basket, I mean, she's already being recruited by, you know, Toledo and Mississippi State and South Carolina, some of the best schools in the country. But they're on the fence right now about her. They're going to watch and see how she develops. And if she continues to develop, I think good things are in store for us and for her.
Right. One of the other players that I made a connection with early, and I think it was because you had her in for a visit, is Joyce Holloway from the Chicago area, and she's actually gotten some starts for you as a freshman, and she's really a valuable player to your team.
Yeah, I think it was in the Olney game, the second game of the tournament at Vincennes, that she just had an okay game. She started for us, and she missed a couple box outs and gave middle a couple times, and typical freshman mistakes. And she might have put up a couple of buckets. And after the game, you look at her stat line, and she's got 7 rebounds and 6 steals, and she gets 8 points, and just a real quiet player that just goes out there and does her thing and takes care of business. And like all of our freshmen, she's growing rapidly every day, and she's gotten quicker and faster, and she's catching up with the speed of the game. And I think she's going to start for us probably the rest of the year.
And Coach, this final player we'll talk about is hard not to like simply because of her nickname, Shaq. I mean, how could you not like Shaq? She's really a special athlete when you watch her up and down the floor.
Yeah, Shaq came in on her visit, about a year and a half ago now, and she got to play a little bit, and you could tell right away from the film and from watching her play that she had great skills. I mean, just big hands and long athletic body, and of course, we were down in Florida warming up before, I think, the Chipola game, and I turned around and the officials weren't out yet, and she took a layup from half court and went in and actually dunked the basketball in warm-ups. And I mean, you just don't get very many kids that can dunk the basketball in warm-ups at our level. So Shaq has great ability and has grown up so much as a person in the last 6 months and continues to grow. And I think there's a chance that she's already signed with the University of Cincinnati.
Wow.
And in the Big East Conference, and
That's
so
great.
I think there's a chance that she's gonna play big time basketball and maybe play for money. And our job here is to make sure she takes care of her academics, help her get better every day, and realize what her role is with this basketball team. And it's a process, and we're doing that. And I really like Shaq, and Shaq gives us the ability to play with anybody because she can control the middle of the paint against almost anybody we play against, and you need that the deeper you go into the season and the tournament, as you know.
Well, and it's really been fun to watch. A play breaks down, ball falls on the floor. You've got 5 or 6 kids that can grab it and just go make a play for you.
That's true. Yeah, it really is.
And that's really probably the best coaching you can do is to recruit those kind of kids.
I agree. And you hear that on interviews all the time on ESPN. They're talking to the best coaches in the country, and the one coach lost and the other coach won, and they'll be interviewing the winning coach. And what happened? Well, we made more plays down the stretch than they did. And I mean, and everybody focuses on the coaches. What'd you do to win or lose the game? But in the end, I haven't made a free throw or got a rebound for 4 years. And we've won a lot of games. And players make plays, and that's a good point. We do have a lot of kids that can make a lot of plays.
Coach, we want to wrap up this edition of the Sports Report, but before we do that, let's remind everybody when our next 3 games are, where they are, times, and what we can expect.
Well, over break and going into break, we play at Lewis and Clark at 2 o'clock on Saturday the 12th of December, and then we go to Flow Valley, as you mentioned, at 5:30 on Wednesday the 16th, and then we're at home for one of our rare games at home this semester against Forest Park at 6 o'clock on Friday the 18th, and then right after break, after this will air through break, so after break we start at the 7th, and we play Mineral January 7th right after break. So. And you can find all that on www.jeffco.edu, women's basketball. And we certainly like to have fans get out. And second semester, Doug, what a great opportunity. We have 8 or 9 home games second semester for our fans to come out and watch these kids play. And we were fun to watch the last 2 years, but this year's team can do things that the last 2 years' team couldn't do, as far as getting up and down the floor and making plays and being athletic. And so I hope the fans all come out and enjoy watching these kids play.
We've been talking things over with head women's basketball coach Kevin Emerick. This has been the Sports Report. I'm Jefferson Athletic Director Doug Stotler. See you next time.